Did you know that 95% of your daily decisions is being run on autopilot? This basically means what you eat, how you react to opportunities, how you work. These are not conscious decisions. Your brain is calling the show. And it's been running a sophisticated program since you were 5 years old. And it keeps adding to that program whenever you react to something negatively. And it makes that the focal point. Now, here's the thing though. This is never to your advantage. Often it's to your disadvantage. So how can we reprogram our brain? How can we outsmart our brain? How can we rewire it so that in 2025 we've got the best year yet? So that we transition from careers if that's what you want. So that you can start an online business if that's what you want. Write a book if that's what you want. The goal here is to make sure that our limiting beliefs no longer hold us back. Because here's the thing though, our brain is an efficiency model. It loves comfort. It loves shortcuts. It loves patterns. And this is why we cling to bad habits, why we cling to limiting beliefs. So if you've ever been in a situation where you procrastinated or went through a lot of self-doubt, this is what's holding you back. But here's the thing though, you need to understand the four main programs your brain is running and how to fix those programs so that they work for you than rather against you. The first program is cognitive bias, also known as negative bias. This is when you focus more on your failures than successes. How easy is it for us to focus on what we've done wrong, or how we failed, or how we made a misstep, whether it is in our relationships, whether it is in our career, whether it is down the journey of life, regardless of what it is, we tend to focus more on the things that we just did not do well than our successes. And that sometimes holds us back. I'll give you a perfect example. With my ADHD, I remember a couple of years ago, I was interviewing people for a blog, and these were people who had thousands and thousands of subscribers, and I was just a new blogger. But because sometimes with my ADHD, I tend to not focus or pay attention to details, I missed a pivotal detail, and that was that some of the words had gone to the side of the screen. Now you can imagine talking to the person who you're interviewing, and they're looking at the blog and saying, oh, what's going on with this blog post that I did an interview for, because the words are not centered. I was so embarrassed by that. That made me focus more on the failures than the successes. And my successes was that I managed to get 10 big shot bloggers as a new blogger. I'd only been blogging for a couple of months, and that was something that I should have focused on, but instead I focused on the negative. Negative bias keeps us stuck. Second one is confirmation bias. This is what ends up happening when a replaying thought is in your mind and then something happens and it confirms you. So it's almost like it's confirming whatever belief system you have. So let's say you feel like you're lazy and then something happens and you tend not to wake up on time, and that is a confirmation for you that, yeah, I'm lazy. Regardless of what it is, confirmation bias can stop us in our tracks because it's almost as if it's confirming whatever we thought about ourselves, making it harder for us to step out of that. Automatic negative thinking basically means that when you were younger, even when you didn't realize it, your brain was capturing all the negative words that were spoken against you or to you, right? So if a teacher called you stupid, you capture that. If someone called you silly, you capture that. Regardless of what words, right? Your brain was literally making a list of them. So when something bad happens, that thought pattern comes into your mind. Am I good enough? Am I too silly? Am I too childish? Why can't I do this? Yes, teacher A was right. I am stupid. That's automatic thinking. And often it's difficult to handle because it happens automatically. When something bad happens, when you fail at something, when something does not go to plan, you automatically think it. Now, the fourth one, and this is something that we all are familiar with, is the comfort zone trap. This is when you feel trapped in whatever you consider your safety net, whether it is your group of friends, whether it is your house, whether it is that small cubicle in your office, whether it is a particular park, a particular cafe, a particular restaurant. You never venture out. You're comfortable in that environment. But the problem with that is when you spend so much time being in that environment, you don't know what's outside. You don't know what is, a couple streets down, or you don't know what new opportunities can come your way because you're focused on that comfortable place, that safety net. And it feels like a safety net. It feels like a warm blanket. But when you spend too much time there, you never grow. And this is the problem though, because if you're never growing, you're never learning. And if you're never learning, you can never fully realize your potential. This is all good, right? These are the four programs that, well, main programs our brain runs. But how do we solve this? Because there has to be a solution, right? Now, there is a solution to this. The first solution is all about catching the automatic thinking. So when a thought comes, right, instead of you dwelling on it, and that's when there's danger, right? You dwelling on that thought, you dwelling on those words, you catch it, right? My friend used to say, take it to court. It's a perfect analogy because when you take something to court, you kind of ask yourself the hard questions. Is this relevant? Does this mean who I am now? Does this make any sense anymore? Because when something happened when you were 10 years old, obviously you have grown from when you were 10, right? And you're holding on to that thought now at 20 or 30 or older, right? It no longer has any relevance in your life. Maybe you're holding on to thoughts that you had or when you were 21, 22, 23, and now you're 27 years old and you're no longer that confused kid who did not know what they wanted to do in their life. Now you have an idea. Does that hold any relevance to your life now? So when you take it to court and you lay it right there, right, you start judging it and you realize that that is not the reality. Taking to court is a great way of now realizing that these things don't have weight on you as long as you don't dwell on them. The second one is reframe negative thoughts. So instead of thinking about, am I good enough? You just say, I'm a work in progress. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm not staying stuck. And I am moving forward. Regardless of what happened before, that is no longer a reflection of who I am. And when you think like that, it's a lot easier for you to see, the future. It's a lot easier for you to focus on the future instead of the past. So many of us focus on the past and that keeps us stuck. But when you focus on the future, you start moving in that direction. The third one is to do with creating a success identity. Creating a success identity is a great way for you to step into who you want to be rather than who you are. For example, let's say you want to be a successful content creator, but you're not a content creator, right? Obviously you're not. But what does a successful content creator do? They're consistent. They're always trying new things. They experiment. They are willing to not get enough views as long as they focus on quality over quantity. They have gears. They make sure it's professional and crisp. They make sure the audio is clear. They make sure the video structure, right? There's no glitches. When you start looking at who you want to be rather than who you are, that creates a success identity and you can lean into that more. Regardless of what it is, whether it is being a content creator, whether it is being a writer, whether it is being an entrepreneur, whether it is being a six-figure entrepreneur. Vanessa Lau is is one person I know who's spoken about this a lot. And she said a couple of years ago when I was watching one of her videos, she was working at McDonald's, right? She had just quit a corporate job and she knew she wanted to raise money in order for her to become a content creator, a YouTuber. So what she said was, what can I do that a six-figure content creator does? And she started doing that, right? She started making sure she woke up early. I think it was around 5 a.m. She made sure that she would work consistently, making sure she did her stuff on time. By doing that, she was focusing on who she wanted to be rather than who she was. Now, if you're struggling with all the other ones, there's another one that's going to truly help you. This is number 4. It's using the 5-second rule. Sometimes I use the 2-second rule, but Mel Robbins is the one who came up with the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is pretty simple. You need to count to 5 with whatever you decide to do. So if you decide that you want to researching about blogging, right? You count to 5. If you want to wake up on time, while you're lying on your bed, you count to 5. If you want to write a book, you count to 5, right? And then you just start doing it, okay? After number 5 or after number 1, depending on how you want to count it, whether it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The principle is the same. By doing that, you're no longer focusing on the procrastination and the self-doubt. You're focused on more the action that is no longer in your view. It's not in your mirror, right? It's in your rear view. And because of that, it's a lot easier for you to process it and walk towards it. This is a great way for you to then rephrase a lot of things, whether it is reframing negative thoughts, catching automatic thinking, or even creating a success identity, right? It shapes the way you look at things. Now, the last one is after all this, right, and you want to round it up, you got to make success automatic. What this means is success doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. Journey of 10,000 steps, right, begins with a single step. The point here is you got to step first. You got to walk towards where you want to go. You got to make that first step, right? That first decision of saying this is what I want to do. So make your bed first. That is making success automatic. There is a book about it, right? There has to be a reason why there's a book about why you should make your bed first, okay? Now, the second thing is you want to wake up early. Figure out how to do that. If you are a heavy sleeper and you struggle with sleeping, or rather you struggle with waking up, maybe you need to have different alarms around your room. Maybe your phone needs to be far away from you. The alarm needs to be far away from you, where you have to actually get up and switch it off. Regardless of what it is, you got to make success automatic. So make sure that you research the people who you want to be. What do they do? So want to stop scrolling? Use website blockers. Want to eat healthier? Stop eating too much junk food. To become mentally fit? Read the right books. That is all to do with making success automatic. Now, another one is the compound effect. Now, this is the last point, and this is going to round everything up. The compound effect makes things so much easier because regardless of what you want to do, whether it is start an online business, become a content creator, write a book, what's the very first step you could do to make everything come in place? That's how the compound effect, right? That's how it works. So maybe it could be simply writing a sentence, right, for that book you want to do, researching how to start a business online, right? Or even filming your first video, or even getting the equipment to film your first video. That's compound effect. The more habits you do, there's a compound effect that's going to happen. That's going to make everything come online. But it's all to do with the small steps, the small habits that you're building in order to accomplish that bigger goal. So you start small, and then that small goal is going to become a bigger goal. And then eventually you would have accomplished that bigger goal, even if it takes longer than you wanted it to do, right? In the beginning, it's all to do with starting first. If you enjoyed this video, please like, please share, so that you're always notified whenever a new video comes out.